Good morning, distinguished delegates, guests connected from the link. My name is Andrea D'Ambroso, and I would like to welcome you to the third webinar of COPMEC project, named Strengthening the Role of Women in Fishery System Across the ASEAN Region. This is the third webinar of COPMEC project, which is a development initiative financed by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation through the Italian Agency of Development. But today I will not deliver the welcome speech because we have a very important person that will deliver his welcome remarks and will give a high institutional value to this event. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the ambassador of Italy to Indonesia, to Timor-Leste and ASEAN, His Excellency Roberto Colaminè.
Good morning to everybody. Grazie, saluti se mi consentite anche in italiano a tutto il personale SIAM che ci segue. I was just saying thanking and greeting the staff of SIAM, which I visited actually in Tricase a few years ago. It's a very beautiful location. So it is for me a privilege to open the final webinar of the 3-week high-level training program in the framework of the COPMEC project. And I would like to express my sincere appreciation for SIAM, for the organization of the training, and the certainty, if not the hope, but the certainty that it has been a stimulating and enriching experience for the participants. I hope, as I mentioned before, I visited Tricase, you also enjoyed the beautiful location of Tricase, and you had the opportunity to discover the area through the visits to the local facilities, the aquaculture farms, the marine protected areas, and all the coast, which presents, of course, wide differences with the oceanic coast of Indonesia, but of the Asian countries, which face seas that are, I would say, much more complicated than the Mediterranean to manage. But what is in common is the marine mentality, the maritime mentality, the one that is shared by all of us, that we live very close to the sea, have large shorelines, and we may share these experiences. All participants had the opportunity to benefit from the expertise of the 10 Italian specialists, including, of course, the expert for SIAM, but also university professors and external professionals. And hope that this gave you the opportunity to have a view of the system that we developed in Italy with what we call the Sistema Italia, the Italian system, but also in a way in Europe where we learn to share so many experiences, rules, and techniques among European countries, an experience that we highly value and I think have been useful for other organizations and associations where they have to work together on the technicalities of certain subjects, but also on the legal aspects, the sharing of common rules, sharing of common legislation when necessary to make these activities work not only at national level, but international level and regional level. And this is the whole spirit of our action. Over the past week, SIAM brought together 22 ministerial officials from 11 Asian countries and 3 distinguished high-level delegates from ASEAN Food Agriculture Forestry Division. And I thank Dr. Kwan Min, Dr. Arbiol, and Mr. Kodri for their participation and their activity in this exercise. I'm also particularly pleased to acknowledge the fact that there are 12 out of 22 participants are women. Of course, this is completely in line with the spirit and the objectives of this seminar. Another aspect that I would like to stress is the fact that this common experience shared by all those participated may create a sort of COPMEC community that will not finish with the seminar, but will keep working if you give content to it in the next future, because you may have exchanges and further contacts within the program, but also beyond the program. And that's the heritage we would like to leave from this initiative. The project will continue, in fact, with these webinars, and the final technical document uploaded to the web platform for a broader dissemination and for further use in the future. So I would like to close by thanking you for your participation, your contribution to the initiative. Thank again Siam, and hope that this experience so far from this area may provide you a different viewpoint about the way to conduct these activities and giving you also useful insights on how to prosecute your work with our contribution, but most importantly, with your own experiences and points of view with regard to the implementation in your own region, in your own countries. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. Roberto Colamine, Ambassador of Italy to Indonesia, Timor-Leste, and ASEAN, is connected from the Italian Embassy in Jakarta. Allow me also, Ambassador, to extend the greetings and the thanks from the Siambari Director, Mr. Biagio Di Terlizzi. As you remarked in a very good way, this training was about the exchange of ASEAN and Mediterranean context and system. Very different, but we learn a lot from each other approach. Also, as you remarked, here we have three delegates from ASEAN Food, Agriculture, and Forestry Division. And therefore, I would like to introduce to the audience Dr. Fang Quang Ming, which is the head of the Food, Agriculture, and Forestry Division. Please, Mr. Min, you have the floor for your greetings.
Thank you, Andres. So good morning from Italy, and I'd like to also say hello to His Excellency's Ambassador Roberto to ASEAN, Indonesia, and Timor-Leste. It's also my pleasure to have to see ambassadors here, not in person, but also in online virtuals. I had the first time to meet with ambassadors 2 months ago when we also launched the office of the COMEC in Jakarta, Indonesia. And the project office is quite nice. This is one of the nice office from the formation in to ASEAN, right? So I would like to congratulate. And since then, right, there are lots of activity has been conducted to the from the project COMEX. From ASEAN Secretariat, we closely work with the project teams to make sure that all the activity also be conducted in a timely manners. And that's why within 3 weeks, we are also here with 11 member states. I think that's for the 3 weeks, right? There are lots of discussion about the project activities. The first week, we also focus on the exchange of information between ASEAN and Italy. And the second week also focus on the exchange of information between the Mediterranean countries to ASEAN. And this also the final days, final weeks, right? And then a lot of discussion has been given. And of course, as a member state also visit a lot of sites, right? We also visit the fishermen, we also visit the processing plant, and we learn a lot from the cooperation between ASEAN and Italy, especially in areas of agriculture and fisheries. I just want to also highlight an important point here, right? In 2026, ASEAN also launched, that's the ASEAN Community Vision 2045. This is one of the most important documents for ASEAN. And under the ASEAN Community Vision 2045, food, agriculture, and forestry, including fishery and agriculture, plays important part. Recently, just last year, the ASEAN Minister on Agriculture and Forestry also adopted the sector plan for food, agriculture, and forestries, and fishery also plays important part through the 5-year plan 2026 and 2030s. So in that aspect, right, I also want to emphasize the importance of the fishery and aquaculture sectors, where different issues, for instance, IUU fishing, for instance, the protection of environment, for instance, the marine debris address or issues of environment, pollution of the sea, always a priority of ASEAN. Through the 3 weeks, we thought that at the beginning, 3 weeks is very, very long, right? But then now we already the final days of the week 3. So I hope that all the participants, right, so you also have the good knowledge, and when you come back to your hometowns, you can also apply what we also learned from here. And we also expected that the country of Italy and Mediterranean country also learn from what ASEAN member states also have. I also very proud to note that, right, yesterday discussion, we also established the COPMEC communities as a website, right? And I hope that all the participants also can share the information after the training. But this is only the starting point, right? It's not the end of the project, but the starting point of the project. So we hope that we also discuss to share, to recommend, and how best we move to work the relationship between ASEAN in Italy in the food, agriculture, and fishery sectors. So I'd like once again to thank the government of Italy for supporting us. I would like to also thank the CM Barry's to host this training course. And I also wish all participants also can get knowledge and also can share and also apply as a country levels. With that, once again, I'd like to thank also again, right, the ambassadors of Italy to ASEAN, to Indonesia, Timor-Leste, the CM Barry's and all the member states to participate in the training course. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Min, for underlining again the strategic importance of the partnership between ASEAN and Italy. Thank you also to His Excellency, the Ambassador Roberto Colaminè, for giving us some very important numbers of this training, and also to underlining the presence of the women among the ASEAN member state delegates. And with this, I would like to introduce you to the chair of this webinar, Ms. Ludovica Nardelli. Please, Ludovica.
Thank you, Andrea. Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today. So we will launch today the Women webinar. As mentioned before, Andrea, and following the introduction, I would like to remark that this webinar is organized within COPMEC project to support the knowledge exchange, the technical cooperation, and the regional dialogue within the aquaculture and the fishery sector. Today's discussion also builds on the ongoing level that we are doing here in Tricase, which gave us the opportunity to gather 12 women from the ASEAN countries. What we have done so far, we had the pleasure to have among the women delegates thematic focus group, technical sessions, and very thoughtful country exchanges. And within these sessions, the topic of women in fisheries emerged as particularly important. But why? Because the women play a significant roles across all the value chain within the fishery system, especially in post-harvest activities, trade, support function, and community livelihoods. But at the same time, we have common challenges also among the Mediterranean and ASEAN exchange. So their contribution along the value chain is still often under-recognized and not very visible, and not always reflected in the policy and decision-making processes. So this is very relevant, and today we want to launch, and we want to have a space to bring together national experiences, examples, and all different perspectives. But not just that, because the aim of this training and this webinar is also to try to have, to share, identifying common priorities, common challenges, and highlighting promising approaches, and reflect on what deserves stronger attention at regional level. So if Andrea allow me, I will now start the webinar calling the panel of experts. So we will start from the first panel. I would like to ask to join the first panel, which is going to give us an overview on the governance and institutional perspective. So please, I ask to join Vietnam, Ms. Mai Wong Nguyen, official of the Department of Fisheries and Surveillance, Ministry of Agriculture and Environment. Ms. Nura Shiken from Malaysia, Fishery Officer, Aquaculture Division, Department of Fishery in Malaysia. And please, from Myanmar, the Deputy Director of Department of Fishery, Ms. Noi Noi. Thank you, Ms. Mai. So I will start with the contribution of Ms. Mai from Vietnam. Can you give us some insights about the contribution and the role of the women in Vietnam along the fishery value chain? Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Dovika. Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Nguyễn Mai Hương. I'm from the Department of Fishery and Surveillance under the Ministries of Agriculture and Environment. It's very great honor for me to be here with all of you to participate in this training workshop. And I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation to the Italian Ministries of Foreign Affairs, the ASEAN institution and the Siam Paris for organizing this training workshop and also providing the ASEAN member state with opportunity to share experience and knowledge in aquaculture and small-scale fishery. And today I would like to give you a brief role and contribution of women in fishery sector in Vietnam. In capture for Vietnam, fishery and capture are the key pillar of Vietnam economy, supporting the livelihood, the food security, exports, and rural development. Within this sector, the women play an essential role. However, they are under-recognized across the entire value chain. In capture fishery, women are involved in the nearshore activities such as the collecting seaweed or harvesting the mussels or supporting the small-scale fishery. They also contribute to the supporting the small-scale fishing such as the net netting, food preparation, or logistical support for fishing trip. Yeah, and in aquaculture, in aquaculture, the women also active in pond management, feeding, disease preventing, also primary processing, and so on and so forth. And in term of post-harvest and the processing activity, women also play a very strong role. They are engaged in the cleaning, drying, preserving, or processing. And as you know, in Vietnam, many seafood processing factory, most of the women are working there, and they also contribute to the quality control and also food safety, and they also play an important role in the trade, also the local market. They support the distribution of fishery product. Also, they have conduct the the fishery production to the consumer. And in this, in addition, women also have a important role um, in protection of fishery resources and also marine protection, marine environment protection. They raise awareness need to the family and the community about the protection of the fishery resources, also also the marine protection, marine environment protection. So I think the women in Vietnam play an essential role in the fishery sector. And however, they face many challenges, such as the limited access to the technology, finance, training, and also the inequality in incomes and the working condition, and also the decision making processes. They have a limited to the opportunity, leadership opportunity. Yeah, so I think the Vietnamese women still face many challenges. So for this reason, I think the Vietnamese women should be more fully recognized, probably recognized, supported, and they have a chance to participate in the decision making decision. And so I think that owns for my presentation. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Mai. Thank you, Miss Mai. Yeah, thank you for the Vietnam's contribution. Also, because you remarked that in the Vietnam fishery value chain, women are already essential actors. I mean, and where in Vietnam also is growing the attention to traceability and sustainability standards, strengthening the women's inclusion is not just a matter of equity, but it's also a strategy, a way to improve the competitiveness and the long-term sustainability of this sector. Thank you very much for your contribution. And Ms. Nureshikan, what do you think about that? How can fishery institution can better support the women's leadership and participation in governance in Malaysia?
And thank you, Ms. Liu, our beautiful moderator today. I'm Nora Shikin. From Malaysia perspective, Malaysia has always support inclusivity regarding gender, especially in our policies and many of our new initiatives, just to ensure balance and opportunities and as well participations, both men and women. This also been, we can see in our fishery sectors where women involvements are increasingly, not only at the ministerial levels, but along the value chain where most of women are involved in the post-harvest like marketing and seafood processing. However, we thought that there are some actually rooms for us to improve in strengthened women's leadership and as well as participations in governance, especially in the groundroot level, community level. First, through fisheries institutions, they can like encourage better women participations, women's representations in fisheries associations and as well cooperative in the community levels. As we know throughout this training that women play a significant roles in maintaining and drive this industry. However, I would like to remark like Vietnam said that it was only unrecognized, especially in the leadership positions. Secondly, by building their capacity. Building capacity is very important. We must acknowledge that most women that work in the sectors, especially in the ground levels, are highly experienced and also highly skilled in work related to the fisheries. However, we cannot deny their needs in formal training, such as maybe communications, entrepreneurships in digital entrepreneurships, and as well as other technologies. By by giving them more trainings, we're building their confidence as well as maybe to grow them from only become a participants to maybe become a leaders one day. When we talk about women in fishery sectors, especially in the community level in Malaysia, many of them are still grouped in lower income groups with lack of access in financials as well as financial aid for them to start the business as well as maybe to expand their business for the so in to help address this gap, maybe betterments in access to financial aid, giving incentive, financials aid can help them to improve their economy as well as help them to become better among the societies. Lastly, with all the policies and all the strategic plans in line, we also, Malaysia thought that we should at least improve our data collections and monitoring programs on the grassroots so we can see whether all the policies are effective, relevant, and also inclusive for the community. That's all from me.
Thank you, Ms. Nurashikan. Thank you for this overview at policy and governance level in Malaysia. Yes, an applause. This reminds us that inclusion is not only recognizing the presence and the role of the women in the sector, because it's very important try to also recognize the strength and strengthening their voice, their agency, and also their role of decision in institutional processes. Thank you for highlighting these points, very insightful for us. So Ms. Noi Noi from Myanmar, connecting for what they said. What in Myanmar, what kind of progress in Myanmar has been made in integrating also the gender perspective along the fishery value chain?
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And Myanmar has made a graduate process in integrating gender perspective into the fishery sector. First, Myanmar has committed to international frameworks such as CDRAW and sustainable development goals, and which guide our efforts toward gender equality and social inclusion. And second, recent study have the highlight that the women played important role in the fishery sector value chain, and including fish processing, marketing, and aquaculture activities. And we also recognize that women is needed, especially in collecting disaggregated data and increasing women participation in the leadership and decision-making process. And moving forward, our focus is to strengthen gender equality and social inclusion related policy and improve women's access to finance capacity building opportunity, and the market access through the collaboration with regional and international partners. Although challenges remain, the progress in awareness, research, and commitment has related to create a strong foundation for a more inclusive and sustainable fisheries sector in Myanmar. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Noi Noi. She came from the Department of Fisheries. She's Deputy Director. And this intervention helps us to see that gender mainstreaming is a gradual process, but is a necessary one if governance, if policy in fishery wants to become more effective, more inclusive, and also responsive. So this was the first panel. on the governance and institutional perspective from Myanmar, Malaysia, and Vietnam. So now I will call the second panel of experts and the women delegates, women in aquaculture. I would like to thank you to join them for giving us some insight about the challenges and the role that the women plays in the aquaculture sector. Indonesia, Ms. Erna, Aquaculture Policy Analyst, Directorate General of Aquaculture, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fishery. Thank you, Ms. Erna. From Vietnam, Ms. Nguyen, Aquaculture Officer, Department of Fishery and Surveillance. Thank you, Ms. Nguyen. From Thailand, Ms. Nawanit, Fishery Biologist, Coastal Aquaculture Research and Development Division, Department of Fishery of Thailand. And we can start with the second panel. So, Ms. Erna, so in Indonesia, we know the seaweed is a main cultivation area, and that's very relevant sector, can be an opportunity for the women integration. And we would like to ask you, how does seaweed cultivation could open economic opportunity for women in Indonesia? Thank you, Ms. Erna.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lu, for the question. Good morning, participant. I'm Erna from Directorate General of Aquaculture, Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries. In the context of gender and also coastal economic development, so seaweed farming activities is one of the activities that the one sector that have inclusion for women activities. So why the seaweed aquaculture become one of the inclusive sector? Because not like other fisheries activities that usually need high investment, offshore operation, and also physically dependency works that dominated by men. Seaweed aquaculture provide opportunity for women to participate because it needs only low investment, and that the location is quite not far from home, and also it can the production cycle is short. So while the women can generate income from the seaweed aquaculture, they still can manage the household responsibility. In some coastal area in Indonesia, such as South Sulawesi, East Nusa Tenggara, and also Madura, women has important role on the household economic development through this seaweed aquaculture. They can participate in the whole of the value chains of the seaweed aquaculture. So start from the seed preparation, and then also the cultivation production, like sorting the seaweed, and then preparing the processing, and also packaging and marketing. So some studies in Indonesia show that this participation in a woman in aquaculture, seaweed aquaculture, has directly contribution to the household economy, including better food security, better education for the children, and also others. So it means that now women in aquaculture not only as a working labor, but tends become a micro entrepreneur to small scales processing business in all part of the value chain of the seaweed. So through this seaweed aquaculture, we think that women not only strengthen their economic in the household, but now they have role in the financial decision making and also community participation. So their role become increasing. So when we talk about the seaweed aquaculture, is not only about a blue economic commodity, but it also a pathway for women, to woman empowerment and also social inclusion in the coastal development economy, especially in aquaculture sector in Indonesia. I think that's all.
Very, very nice intervention, very interesting. Also because seaweed are very important, not only in Indonesia, but also in other ASEAN areas, and your intervention can be very insightful at regional level. So I think that seaweed is an opportunity also in terms of diversification activities and also for creating new startup, also for young women, not just for.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms.
You're
Serna.
welcome.
It's very nice. In Vietnam, we already know that women plays an incredible, role along the value chain. They are very essentials. We have been in Hanoi on February within COPMEC project. We have visited the market and we have seen the impressive presence of women also from the market to the trade to the life of the community, but especially in the processing plants, right? I will ask to Ms. Luyen, how do aquaculture processing plants could strengthen the women's economic participation in Vietnam? Thank you, Ms. Luyen.
Thank you. Good morning, participants. Today, I would like to share some information about women's role in seafood processing in Vietnam. Along with the fishery industry development, women in Vietnam have demonstrated their crucial role in seafood processing. Their role can be seen as several aspects as follows. Women, as Ms. Hương mentioned above, women are the main workforce in seafood processing in Vietnam. In Vietnam, women account for large proportion in processing, especially in raw material sorting, filleting, freezing, and packing, and in product inspection as well. In many processing plants, women make up from 70 to 80% total number of workers. With the active participation of women, the seafood products in Vietnam maintain the stable quality, meet to international food safety standards, and improve competitiveness in export. This have make Vietnam become the one of the most last seafood exports in the world. Seafood process makes jobs for thousands of women in coastal and rural area in Vietnam, such as Mekong Delta area, Red Delta River, and central coastal area. So that's the ensure the livelihood and household economic, and facilitate to access the education and health care. And besides that, women are increasing involved in management and monitoring processing activities, and have a high position in processing plants as well. Despite their significant contributions, our women workers are seafood in seafood processing industry are still facing many challenges, including unstable income and high workforce pressure, long working hours in peak seasons, and cold and humid working conditions that affect their health. And limited opportunities to improve their job position. And to further enhance women's role in fisheries processing industry, it is necessary to strengthen vocational training and management skill development and improve working conditions and welfare, and facilitate women to participate in technical and high management position.
Thank you, Ms.
Yes,
Yeah, that's very interesting because in Vietnam, as we said before, women plays a really central role, but despite that, women still facing some important challenges. I mean, with the income inequalities or workforce conditions, and there are still some strategies that the government can adopt for improving the gender inclusions, but I mean the social condition in general. What is happening in Thailand? Miss Nawanit, after 3 weeks we learned about names. How in Thailand the women contribute across the value chain, and especially in the aquaculture value chain. Can you give us some insights and get us know about the woman conditions, the challenges facing, and the contribution in Thailand? Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lu. And good morning, everyone. My name is Navani Kongkao. I'm fishery biologist from Coastal Aquaculture Research and Development Division, Department of Fishery, Thailand. For my question, in Thailand, women are playing important role in many parts of aquaculture. Their contribution can seem in the beginning of the production, the processing and the marketing. Approximately 30 to 40% of the total labor force in the value chain. In the first part, the production stage, the women actively involved in farming activities. They help to take care of aquatic animals, manage small farm, and harvest product. In the next step, women are the important in the processing and marketing, insist of selling raw products, and they return them into the higher value products. And additional, women are very important in the marketing and business development. Many women lead to the community enterprise. They can create brand, they connect with consumer and promote their local products. To the better understanding of this topic, I would like to share a case study from Chanthaburi province. Miss Supida Lintong. She is a young leader of a community enterprise. Its name Chanthaburi at Lam Sing, Pak Nam Lam Sing. During the COVID-19 pandemic, her communities faced income loss from small-scale fisheries, but she didn't give up. She worked together with her communities and look at new opportunities. They start to processing fish using a zero waste concept. And later, she explain UNWA seaweed farming. This species of seaweed is easy to grow, environmental friendly, and high potential to development. Today, her group has many produced products from seaweed, including food, supplement, cosmetic, and skincare. And they collaborate with a researcher in the government and university to improve product quality and create new innovation. Yeah. In my point, I should suggest that women is not the only worker in aquaculture, but also leader and the entrepreneurs who drive the whole value chain forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nawal. That was very interesting because you brought a really practical, a real experience of a local entrepreneur that is diversifying and adding value on seaweed value chain. So this is an example that within also the presence of our women delegates, we can exchange these practices, and maybe with your inputs, we can also collect some important elements to develop and also adopt good practices in other regions. So now we have finished with your panel of experts. Thank you very much. Thank you to the second panel of experts. And now I ask to join the last session with the third panel from Thailand, Miss Wantana, fishery biology and expert in fishing gears from Marine Fishery Research and Development Division, Ministry of Agriculture. Thank you, Miss Wantana from Thailand. Miss Bonsamai from Lao PDR, Officer at Division of Fishery Inspection and Fish Management, Department of Livestock and Fisheries. Miss Miso Brevega from Philippines, Senior Fishery Officer in province of Iloilo. And from Malaysia, we have Miss Ariati, Senior Fishery Officer, Capture Fishery Resource Division, Department of Fishery in Malaysia. From Thailand, good morning. So one of the main challenges is related to under-recognition of women's roles and data collection. Would you give us some insights within Thailand countries about this topic, please? Thank you, Ms. Wantana.
Thank you, Ludovica, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, as you may know that my name is Wantana. I work for the Department of Fisheries in Thailand.
Thank you.
And I emphasizing in the small-scale fisheries as our panelists already talking about the role of the woman in fishery sector, both in aquaculture and small-scale fisheries. Today, I also have my point that want to talk about the role of the woman in small-scale fisheries, especially in capture fisheries. Because in our country, Thailand, the small-scale fishery is the backbone of the livelihood in the coastal area. While the men, they work in the offshore fishing, but of course, in the same time, the women, they work both in pre and post-harvest activities. What we do, they prepare the net. When the boat come back, they help and collect the fish from the fishing net. Also, the woman is the strongest managing financial in the household. Of course, they play the important role in the, in the processing
Also in Italian.
activities. Yeah, of course, they are very strong voice in the house. You know, they are the leader of the processing activity. They know many typical technique that how they can preserve the food to make the value added for the product. They know very well. And of course, they are good at in the local market as well. they are the good trader. They have the strong voice to bargain, but still have some challenges that all of this is recognized, but is not formally recognized. Much of their work still informal. It's not adequate capture in the official statistic. Everyone in the community knows that they are working, but it's not in official statistic. This invisibility create a gap in policy making that may lead to some not appropriate solution for the women. So therefore, we need a system of data collection to ensure that gender disaggregate data collection. This will help to get more concrete solution, and they can have the inclusive and responsive to the real needs of the products and the activity that women contribution. This is my point that I want to share with you on that women, they are strong enough to be the leader, and you should recognize what they did in the value chain of fisheries sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montano, for your insight. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, your remarks help us to better understand that women's roles in the small-scale fishery are often essentials, but there is still this main challenge that there is official recognition, also in official statistics. So we need maybe to standardize at regional level in ASEAN a protocol, a methodology for having a solution for this main challenge for the value chain. Thank you, Ms. Montana. This is very crucial. Okay, we shift to another country, Laos PDR. We would like to know how in Laos women are involved in the small-scale fishery management and community-based activities also, if you can get us some insights about it. Thank you, Ms. Bonsamai.
Yes, thank you to share. Today I will talk about the role of the women in small-scale fishery in Laos PDR. In Laos PDR, for the women is very important to the fishery value chain in my country. And this contribution remain under the unrecognized and unrecognized due to the social pattern and structure in the structure pattern. For the responsibility and contribution for the post-harvest and harvesting, this and women are very active in the very active participant in this activity. The women, they cast or they capture in the river and the rice field, focusing on the collection of the fish or aquatic animal in the river also, and in the rice field, and also in the pond culture. They also keep the feeding, sometimes have the harvesting also. For they catch the fish in the river and the rice field is they catch the small fish and like a crab, frog, and shrimp for the household nutrition. For the processing and Varun addition. This activity is the main the mission of the women. The women lead of the processing like drying, fermenting, shotting, and local trading of fish. The third one is for the livelihood integration. Fishery work is often integrated with the agriculture and livestock. Women must balance the income for the economic activity with the significant unpaid domestic labor, including the child care and household management. I think the women work many things like a man, but they keep the silent. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wonsamai. Yeah, I think that in Lao PDR, women are facing a lot of crucial challenges. She mentioned also the unpaid labor household and all those responsibilities that are not recognized. So this dimension is not just limited to the economic activities, not a standing alone issue, but it extends to community-based roles, local management, and also the shared responsibility for protecting fishery resources and adding value on it. Thank you, Ms. Bonsamai, very insightful. And yeah, we had lots of insights related to the contribution, the roles, and also the some topic related to the how do the women are contributing along the value chain, all the stages, etc. But now shifting to the solution, to the strategies and the approaches also at the policy level. In Philippines, we have some insight from Miss Mi Sobrevega. What are the main strategies for women's empowerment in the fishery in Philippines? Can we have some elements to share with the ASEAN countries? Thank you, Miss.
Thank you, Lou. Good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Maria Amy Sobrevega from the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Western Visayas, Philippines. So I think there are two major women empowerment strategies in the Philippines. One is establishing first the policy framework that supports that program and the programs that ensure gender and development is mainstreamed in the local and national governments. First, I would like to share the Magna Carta for Women in the Philippines, which was passed in 2009. So this basically is the landmark law that provides for the non-discrimination and protection of rights of women and equal opportunities also for women in accessing education, access to healthcare and family, the employment. Another, based on this law also, it provides for the establishment of the Philippine Commission on Women. So it's a commission or an office that provides an oversight role in monitoring and evaluating the government's programs in terms of mainstreaming gender empowerment and gender sensitivity in the workplace. So this oversight committee or commission annually monitors our budget and plans. So we have to provide or tag at least 5% of our annual budget to gender and development. So we are being monitored by this commission. Also, we are required, all the local and national government agencies are required to establish a gender focal point system. So this group in every office should monitor and ensure that gender activities, gender sensitivity trainings are facilitated, and also women and men are provided equal access to the programs of any government institutions. I think to the roles specific to the fishery sector, we have also increasing number of registered fisher folk from the women's sector. We have 2.5 million registered fisher folk in the Philippines, and 29% are already women who are from women's sector. So they belong to the, or they are involved, some are involved in capture fisheries, some in fish vending, fish processing, mostly in fish processing, and of course in aquaculture activities in the region or in the country. We also have in the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, we have, as part of our gender and development program, we provide trainings to our personnel and also to the fisher folk leaders on gender sensitivity and gender empowerment, and ensuring that, of course, we have increasing participation of women in our activities. And lastly, in terms of leadership roles, no, in our region, in Western Visayas, 34% of the officers of the Municipal Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Management Council are women. So that manifests the women's role in policy making and decision making processes. In the Philippines, in our country, we had already 2 women presidents, 2 vice presidents who were women, and a number of senators and congressmen in women in this major or policy making, decision making positions. Also in BFAR, we have a lot of senior officers who are women. So I guess the Philippines has been recognized as gender empowered or gender equal respondent nation, no? But I think we need to look at also, aside from ensuring that we have provided access to livelihood for women, we also would like to see that there is no adding to the burden of women. I think my colleagues here mentioned about responsibilities at the household. So women are also responsible for childcare, for household management. So in as much as we want to help them be more active in economic activities and productive activities, it's also good to have a good balance of this, and starting from the designing of the program at the start and evaluating how responsive and how empowering our programs are. So thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Your insight from Philippines show us that governance program since 2009 is supporting the gender also then along the fishery value chain, also because 29% of fishery registration is women, and is officially recognized in this case. So the last one contribution of the panel is in Malaysia. So we land in Malaysia again after Nurashika. Thank you for joining us. We are asking you because it's elements that it's very important along all the countries about the livelihoods, how the women contribute the livelihoods in the small-scale fishery in Malaysia, and how can your experience can bring some important insight at the regional level. So Ms. Ariati, Senior Officer, Fishery Officer and Capture Fishery Resource Division, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Ludo. In Malaysia, a woman is as a backbone in small-scale fisheries. Along the value chains, they play an important role in landing, post-harvest, and also the local marketing. And then we they play all the important roles, and also they are involved in fish grading, processing, and also marketing. And then in Malaysia, we Department of Fisheries Malaysia already established an two program to increase the participation from women in small scale fisheries. The first one is my community perikanan or fisheries community program, which we let the women involved in this community, in this program, and then they will have good collaboration and also training about the trade, about the marketing, about the post-harvest. And then the second program, we have introduced the agropreneur program, the integrated program to agriculture and also entrepreneurship. They will have a grant, special grant for them, and they have a special training to upskill their capability involved in fisheries. There is no such thing that the woman is, we look at this way as a weak in fisheries management or along the way of post-harvest, because they have a fair chance involved in this area. They have talents and also have a same chance in development of and also marketing, and also all the way they can do as her best as a man. Although they are not involved in catching a fish, but they have a chance in involving all the process in landing, post-harvest, and also the marketing strategy. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. With Ms. Sariati from Malaysia, we are closing to the third panel, which is the final one of this webinar. I will ask to my colleagues from the backstage if we have some comments, or maybe, yes, please, you can. Some comments. Maybe we want to know the male perspective from
Yes,
the
we have
stage, or the ASEAN.
we have several questions, but please let me choose. I think the most important, because just to respect also our plan. And the question is, which kind of action, which kind of program policy ASEAN is implementing to support women in agriculture, fishery sector, to support the women empowerment. So I think that this question is for Mr. Joseph Arbiot, that is in the best position to describe this kind of matter. Joseph.
Like you to see? Yes.
Thank you. So I think we just recently heard from our panel of experts on how important the role of women in food, agriculture, and perhaps fishery sector as well. Let me just highlight that if we look at the data within the agriculture sector, or including the fishery sector, so the percentage of women employed in the sector range from 30 to 70%, depending on the various ASEAN member states. But if we look at this data, it's quite very significant. So it's just highlight how important is how women contributing to the labor force of the ASEAN region. If we look at the response of ASEAN in terms of policy, the ASEAN's commitment to gender equality, it's very much reflected in various declarations that were already adopted by our ASEAN leaders. For instance, the declarations on the elimination of violence against women. We also have the declaration on the welfare, as well as development of women and children. But allow me to zero in within the agriculture sector. In 2018, our agriculture ministers have adopted the regional approaches to mainstreaming gender in the food, agriculture, and forestry sector. This document serves as a policy guidelines for AMS on how we could effectively improve or enhance the delivery of activities that are gender responsive, as well as programs within the region. It's also encourage gender awareness among member states in terms of delivering programs, activities in the food and agriculture sector. If we also look at the guidelines, it requires us to ensure that when we develop programs and activities, ensure that these are incorporate gender equality within the activities to be implemented by the sector. In addition, let me just also include the standards on good aquaculture practices, since we are discussing aquaculture. So if we look at the standards, it does not only include technical guidance or provisions in terms of aquaculture development, but it also includes socioeconomic aspect. And part of that is it does recognize that it should provide equal opportunity for both men and women, and it should not discriminate against women. So overall, these are just some of the key initiatives or key policy guidance that ASEAN is working on. And perhaps, yeah, I think that's all. Thank you for the...
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you very much. Close to the end? Okay. Thank you very much for all the speakers and participants joining the webinars. I think that it was very insightful. We are closing to the end also within our training in Italy that is gathering 25 delegates from the ASEAN member state, which was an incredible opportunity for us. For the women, I think that is it clear that across the ASEAN regions, the contribution is very central and crucial. And we have a lot of similarities also within the Mediterranean context, but we can see that women across the value chain is taking part from the post-harvesting, processing, training, and also marketing. And we had also very important insight from, for example, Philippines, Thailand, where seaweed cultivation can offer an important opportunities for diversifying and creating leaders among women in the sector as well. Despite that, we can all see that remains important constraints and challenges, such as, for example, the under-recognition in official data or unequal opportunities for the access to credits and the financial opportunities, trainings, capacity building. And also I can mention the decision policy levels. So sometimes this side remains unbalanced. So I think that this discussion is also particularly timely because the United Nations has designated 2026 as the International Year of the Women in Farmer, while in Europe the issue of the gender is also growing some attention, including through the European Commission's Women in Farming platform that has been launched this year as well. So we have in Europe this new platform to promote dialogue, mentoring, and also exchanges best practices, not only Europe, but in the world, and can be also a platform useful for ASEAN and European exchange. I would also like to underline that Siambari has long paid close attention to gender equality and women's empowerment, through including this topic in the cooperation initiatives and also in the strategic framework, through the gender equality plan with an official certification obtained in 2022. So for us, this webinar was not only a point for sharing, but also for collecting important inputs for maybe a stronger and supporting the ASEAN regional dialogue. But now I will end to give the floor to Andrea for the last conclusion and the last institutional greetings. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ludovica, for hosting and chair this webinar. So we are going to conclude this third webinar, is concluding the cycle of the 3 webinar implemented during this high-level training ASEAN Mediterranean knowledge exchange. Now we are approaching to the final ceremony. And just a glimpse of what this training meant to all of us. We had the ASEAN context represented by the delegates. We had 12 country focus on aquaculture, 11 country focus on small-scale fishery, and also contribution from ASEAN with the strategic vision of ASEAN. We had the Mediterranean context, lecture from Italian expert about the ASA, the allocated zone for aquaculture, Italian and Siambari experience in the Mediterranean context, but also in Africa and the Arab countries, and also insights about the phenomenon of abandoned, lost, and discharged fishing gears, how some projects are trying to reuse and give new life to the waste of the sea. We had 5 technical visits to aquaculture facilities, fish farms, processing unit, and also marine protected areas. We met association of fishermen, local association. What are the output of this training? Of course, the 3 webinars that we did, but also, as also remarked by the ambassador, the creation of COPMEC community. I know because I was there in the backstage that we had also other questions, but unfortunately we had no time to answer to this question, but the COPMEC community is a way to keep the dialogue alive. Is a dedicated space for cultivating knowledge exchange and partnership between ASEAN and the Mediterranean. So what we achieved, the ASEAN member states delegates, they have strengthened their knowledge on the strategic framework of ASEAN, and also they gain very valuable insight of what all the context of the region is, so valuable insight from all the ASEAN member states. As way forward, the COPMEC project team will draft the technical report of this training and also a technical document using the knowledge acquired during these 3 weeks that will be presented during the next meeting of the ASEAN Sectoral Working Group of Fisheries. Please, Giorgio, if I can have this, the left one with the thanks, because I would like to ask to all of you, to the audience, to be in touch with us, how we can stay connected through, of course, the COPMEC website, copmec.org, and to subscription to our newsletter. Before closing, I would like to express my gratitude and my thanks, of course, to the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Italian Agency of Development Cooperation, especially the Hanoi office, in the person of the head of the Hanoi office, Miss Margherita Lulli, the ambassador, again, for his presence, Roberto Colamine, ambassador of Italy to Indonesia, Timor-Leste, and ASEAN, Siambari director, Mr. Biagio Di Terlizzi, and then all the office that have been working to make this training and webinar true. So the Learning and Teaching Office, Olimpia Antonelli, Silvia Centonze, the Travel Office, Anna Maria Careccia, of course, the COPMEC Project Management Unit, Ludovica Nardelli, Roberto Ugolini, Giampaolo Gullotta, Adilla, and Mr. Zaki Raniri from Jakarta, the Tricase team that is hosting this training, so Gianfranco Cataldi, Salvatore Baglivo, Lela, De Iaco Russo, Monica Martella, and Antonio Enrico, and finally, of course, the master of sound and video, Giorgio Marti, which I will ask to put here, our QR code, so that you can scan and subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you once again to all of you delegates. Thank you, guests. And I hope to stay connected with all of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.